last month brought the largest increase in manufacturing employment since 1998. Strongest growth in manufacturing in 12 years. The question is now, how do we keep that momentum going? How do we keep adding more and more jobs?
In order for the local economy to be successful, money has to come back into the community. That means the community has to make or produce something that then goes to another community where they purchase. And that's what manufacturing does for a local economy. It produces the stuff that goes out and brings that money back into the community.
Manufacturing still employs the most engineers and scientists in the country. If you're looking at being a global consultant, manufacturing probably supports global sales or international sales as much or more than any other industry. If you're looking at operations or production management, manufacturing is the place to go. There's just 100 occupations that manufacturing supports that people don't directly associate with manufacturing.
We are at risk of falling behind. We've already fallen behind, but it's not irrevocable because we still have the best research, we still have potentially the best technology, we've got the best universities, the best scientists, and as I said, we've got the most productive workers in the world. But
manufacturers, even in this economy where we've got about 10% unemployment, they're still saying, you know, we can't find people with the skills we need. And you think about it, you know, most kids don't grow up working on the farm anymore. A lot of kids don't know what physical labor is. A strong mathematical background is going to help you in anything. And you don't have to know calculus and trigonometry and all that, but, you know, just good basic math. I use that all the time, every day. Simple geometry, simple math.
When we talk about manufacturing being dead, sometimes you'll also hear people say, well, you know, I want my daughter, my son to be a doctor, to be a lawyer. I don't want them to go into manufacturing. Ask them the question differently. Do you want your son to be in high tech? Do you want your daughter to be an engineer that's designing great new products? Well, absolutely, we'd love to do that. Those are manufacturing jobs.
Fabrication company out of Milwaukee came up to Green Bay for a job fair because they couldn't find workers. And they had it on the radio, on the commercial. They started their beginning welders at $17 an hour with no experience. Once they became certified, they were over $22 an hour. Now it's just welding. You get into a CNC machinist, very easy, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. I've heard of one company that I know of owner told me that they're paying a 2-year mechanical designer. He went to the NWTC here in Green Bay. He was making over $80,000. Now that's on a 2-year program.
Did you know, in terms of the country as a whole, manufacturing is the 8th largest economy in the world? Even more so than our neighbors up in Canada. Definitely not dead end. And we're seeing that over almost 500,000 people in Wisconsin are employed in manufacturing. We're meeting monthly with manufacturers, where we're working in partnership with education, chambers of commerce, workforce development, and manufacturers to really start shaping our region, because our region has 24% of all our jobs are in manufacturing.
When I started working here, manufacturing was very robust and by far the largest employer in our district. Probably in the early 2000s, I think it was, where that's when the initial shutdowns started occurring, where a lot of the work was going overseas, and all of a sudden that's when the initial manufacturing is dead thing came along. And so our numbers went down because people thought there weren't going to be jobs for them if they went through some of our manufacturing programs. And there was a little bit of a dip there. It didn't last very long. And then all of a sudden, our manufacturers, our employers came back wanting graduates, and we didn't have them because people weren't going into those programs because they thought manufacturing was dead. It was sort of a catch-22 thing. So we've been steadily trying to get the word out there that there are good jobs for people if they go into manufacturing programs. We just need to convince people that you need to come in and get the skills that, for these jobs. The other thing that's different about manufacturing is the high-tech end of it. And the fact that no matter what job you're going to go into in manufacturing, more than likely it's going to involve some work with the computer. I don't know that people understand how integrated computers are in the manufacturing field right now. And we all know that, back to the young people piece, the kids like the computers. They've grown up on them. They're on them all the time. They like to play on them. They're using them for school, what have you. I think there needs to be more of a connection there as well, that they understand that, yeah, you're going to be using a computer. You'll use a lot of other tools as well. But a computer will be one of the tools that you use when you're in the manufacturing field.
Manufacturing today is, you work for a manufacturer who, for example, is a job shop. They make custom order of parts or components, and they receive orders, and your job is to take that order, figure out what the materials will be needed, draw it up in CAD, Mastercam, download it to the machine, set it up, run the first parts, make sure it has the right quality, and move on to the next job. And that takes problem solving, creativity, math skills, communication skills. So those types of jobs are significantly different than what they were before, and they should really provide those challenges and opportunities to people who want to be creative, ingenuitive, and higher value. And that's why the market pays for them.
I think we have a real key role to play, and I think it'll take a lot of things to, in effect, turn the economy around. But there's a tremendous role, and I think we're right at the center of the storm, if you will. Our mission has been for a long time to train people for work, and we offer various programming that is both short and long term, up to 2 years is long term in our case. That someone, let's say, who's dislocated, a job disintegrates for some reason or another, they can in fact come select into the area of their interest and their expertise and retool and re-enter an economy that is more and more demanding in terms of skill sets and than it really ever has been before. I think, as we mentioned earlier, unskilled workforce has dropped from 80%, that's 30 years ago, so it's quite a while, but really when you think about 3 decades, things have moved pretty fast. I mean, it's down from 80% to, or in the neighborhood of 12% now. So people have got to have skills. And most of those kinds of skills, other than the basic ones, they get in a post-secondary setting. Manufacturing might die if we don't awaken, parents and young people to what the opportunities really are, and help them understand they need to skill up, in fact, to participate. Because if one day, when the financial crisis, which really took us into what we're in the middle of right now, as those things get sorted out, we'll be right back, in my view, in a situation that was called skill shortage. Manufacturers in Wisconsin were facing a tremendous skill shortage. The worry number one on their plate was, hey, I post jobs or I advertise or whatever, and I have a very thin pool of candidates. Manufacturing is still strategic in the nation, in the region, in the state.